I found myself trapped with two alien sisters. Now I can't escape. The celestial crash, the void of space, had never felt so endless to Marcus Reed. His exploration vessel, the Artemis, had been his home for 18 months on this deep space cartography mission. Now, as warning lights bathed the cockpit in crimson, that home was falling apart around him. Gravitational anomaly detected, the ship's AI announced with maddening calm. Hull integrity compromised. Emergency landing protocols initiated. Marcus gripped the manual controls, sweat beading on his forehead. Define landing when there's no charted planet for 50 light-years, Ada. The ship lurched violently as an unseen force pulled it sideways. Through the viewport, Marcus spotted it, a planet, shimmering with violet and teal atmospherics, definitely not on any star chart. That's impossible, he whispered, fingers flying across the navigation panel. The Artemis screamed through the atmosphere, systems failing in cascading sequence. Marcus's last conscious thought was that the landscape below, crystalline formations rising like frozen waves, was hauntingly beautiful for a tomb. When consciousness returned, it arrived in fragments. The scent of something sweet yet alien, light filtering through translucent walls that pulsed with organic energy, and the unmistakable sensation of being watched. Marcus forced his eyes open fully. He lay on a bed of soft, moss-like material in a chamber that seemed alive, walls rippling with bioluminescence in response to his movements. His flight suit had been replaced with lightweight garments of an iridescent fabric. "He's awake," came a melodious voice, though Marcus heard it more in his mind than his ears. Two figures moved into view and Marcus caught his breath. They were unmistakably female in form, their skin a soft lavender hue that deepened to purple at their extremities. Their eyes, large, almond-shaped, and entirely silver without pupils, studied him with unmistakable intelligence. "I am Thalia," said the taller one, her posture rigid and cautious. Her hair fell in tight silver coils around sharp features set in a perpetual look of suspicion. "You're on Laraxis." The second figure moved closer, her movements fluid and graceful. "And I'm Vesa," she said, her mental voice warmer, almost musical. Where Thalia's presence felt like a storm brewing, Vesa's was like twilight, soft yet mysterious. Her silver hair flowed in loose waves, framing a face that seemed perpetually on the verge of smiling. "How are you communicating with me?" Marcus asked, attempting to sit up. A wave of dizziness forced him back down. "Careful," Vesa said, placing a cool hand on his forehead. The touch sent a strange tingling sensation through his body. "Your kind isn't accustomed to our atmosphere yet. We're speaking through thought threads. It's easier than trying to form sounds your ears would understand." Thalia crossed her arms. "You shouldn't have survived the crash. Your vessel disintegrated upon impact with our crystal forests. Yet you saved me," Marcus noted. "Vesa insisted," Thalia replied, silver eyes narrowing. "I voted to let the forest reclaim you." Vesa shot her sister a reproachful look. "What my sister means is that visitors are rare here. The last outsider arrived generations ago." Marcus glanced around the chamber, noting no visible doors or windows. "Am I a guest or a prisoner?" The sisters exchanged a look that contained an entire conversation. "That," Thalia finally answered, "depends entirely on you, Marcus Reed of Earth." The fact that she knew his name and origin without him providing it sent a chill down his spine. Something told him his crash landing on this uncharted planet was far from accidental, and that these sisters, so different yet clearly bound by something deeper than blood, held the answers to questions he hadn't even formulated yet. Vesa's expression softened. "Rest now. Tomorrow you'll understand more." As they glided away, Marcus realized his heart was racing, not entirely from fear. Language of trust, the bioluminescent chamber responded to Marcus's emotions, shifting from calming blues to anxious ambers as he paced its perimeter. 3 days had passed since his awakening on Laraxis, and while his strength had returned, his patience was wearing thin. "There must be a way out," he muttered, running his fingers along the seamless walls. As if responding to his thoughts, a portion of the wall rippled and parted, revealing Vesa with a tray of crystalline containers. "You're restless," she observed, setting the tray on a surface that materialized from the floor. "That's a good sign. Your body is adapting to our atmosphere." Marcus approached cautiously. "What's in those?" "Nutrients," Vesa replied, her silver eyes catching the room's luminescence. "And something to help you understand us better." She offered a container filled with luminous purple liquid. This will strengthen the telepathic connection between us, make translation easier. Marcus hesitated. Your sister doesn't trust me. Why do you? Vessa's lips curved into a subtle smile. Thalia distrusts change. I embrace it. She gestured to the drink. This is a choice, Marcus. Force is not our way. Something in her gentle demeanor eased his suspicion. Marcus accepted the container and drank. The liquid tasted like berries and starlight if starlight had a flavor. Both familiar and utterly alien. Almost immediately, his mind expanded. The room's colors intensified and Vessa's presence in his thoughts became clearer. Less like words and more like pure understanding. That's incredible, he gasped. Now you can truly learn, she said, taking his hand. The touch sent pleasant vibrations up his arm. Come. It's time you saw beyond these walls. The chamber opened to a world that defied Marcus's understanding of biology and physics. Crystalline trees stretched toward a violet sky, their translucent branches capturing and refracting sunlight from two distant suns. Structures that seemed both grown and built nested within the landscape, populated by more of the purple-skinned Etherians. Our sanctuary, Vessa explained as they walked. One of the last since the Great Dimming. Marcus noticed other Etherians watching them with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. What's the Great Dimming? Before Vessa could answer, a rumbling shook the ground. Crystal fragments rained from the trees as the Etherians moved with practiced urgency toward shelter. Gravitic storm, Vessa explained, pulling Marcus toward a cave entrance. Quickly! Inside the cave, illuminated by bioluminescent fungi, they found Thalia organizing evacuees. Her silver eyes narrowed at the sight of Marcus. You brought him outside, she accused Vessa. During storm season? He needs to understand our world if he's to help us, Vessa countered. Thalia approached Marcus, her presence in his mind sharp and probing. And will you help us, Earthman? Or are you another false promise from the stars? I don't understand what you're asking, Marcus replied honestly. The cave trembled again, more violently this time. A young Etherian lost balance near a precipice, and without thinking, Marcus lunged forward, catching them before they fell. The child's silver eyes widened in wonder at the stranger's quick action. When Marcus looked up, he found Thalia studying him with a slightly softened gaze. Perhaps, she conceded quietly, you are not what I feared. As the storm raged outside, Marcus sat between the sisters, learning their language more deeply. Thalia, though still reserved, began explaining their society's structure, how the Etherians lived in harmony with the crystal forests, drawing energy from the relationship. But the balance is failing, she admitted. The storms grow worse each cycle. Our people fewer. Vessa's hand found Marcus's in the dim light. That's why your arrival matters. The prophecy speaks of a sky-fallen traveler when the twin suns begin to drift. I'm no savior, Marcus protested. No, Thalia agreed, surprising him. But you might be a catalyst. As the storm subsided and the evacuees returned home, Marcus remained in the cave with the sisters. For the first time since his crash, he felt something beyond confusion and fear, a sense of purpose, and perhaps something more as Vessa's fingers remained intertwined with his, and Thalia's gaze held something that might in time become trust. Twilight Revelations. The Etherian calendar marked 15 cycles since Marcus's arrival on Lyraxis. He had graduated from guest to participant in daily life, helping recalibrate the crystal harvesting technology that sustained their community. His technical knowledge, combined with the sisters' understanding of crystal properties, had already improved energy efficiency by 30%. Hand me the resonator, Marcus asked, arm deep in a control panel. Thalia passed him the tool, their fingers brushing momentarily. Unlike their first encounters, she no longer flinched at contact. Your understanding of our systems is impressive, she acknowledged, watching him work. Engineering is engineering. Even with technology I've never seen before, Marcus replied. Besides, I had good teachers. From across the chamber, Vessa looked up from her calculations, a pleased expression crossing her features. The unspoken competition between the sisters hadn't escaped Marcus's notice. Thalia teaching him combat techniques against the increasingly violent storms, Vessa instructing him in Etherian history and science, both sisters finding reasons for private moments with the human who had fallen into their world. Later that evening, as the twin suns set in spectacular convergence, Marcus found Vessa alone at the Crystal Observatory, a natural formation that amplified and projected celestial events. It's the harmonic alignment, she explained as he joined her. It happens once every 50 cycles. The sky erupted in auroras as the sun's energies interacted with Lyraxis's magnetic field. In the privacy of the observatory, with light dancing across their skin, Vesa moved closer to him. In our culture, she said softly, the alignment is when truths must be spoken. Her silver eyes searched his. I've developed feelings for you, Marcus. Feelings that go beyond cultural exchange. The confession didn't surprise him as much as his own reaction, a quickening heartbeat and the desire to close the distance between them. Vesa. Don't respond yet, she whispered, placing purple fingers against his lips. There's something you must know first, about why you're really here. Before she could continue, Thalia's voice cut through their moment. Vesa, you swore we would tell him together. Thalia stood at the observatory entrance, her posture rigid with barely contained emotion. For a brief moment, Marcus glimpsed something vulnerable in her usually guarded expression. Hurt, perhaps even jealousy. He deserves to know, Vesa said, not moving away from Marcus. Know what? Marcus looked between them. Thalia approached, her movements deliberate. Your crash wasn't random, Marcus. Our ancestors engineered the gravitational anomaly that brought your ship here. What? Marcus stepped back, looking between the sisters in disbelief. We needed someone with knowledge from beyond our world, Vesa explained gently. Our planet is dying. The crystal core that sustains all life on Lyraxis is fracturing. Thalia's voice hardened. And according to prophecies left by our scientists, not mystics, but actual scientists, the solution would come from a world that had nearly destroyed itself through similar energy crises. Earth, Marcus realized. You specifically targeted an Earth vessel. Yes, both sisters admitted in unison. The revelation should have angered him. His ship destroyed, his mission abandoned, his life forever altered by their intervention. Yet as Marcus processed this information, he found his anger tempered by understanding, and by the complicated emotions he'd developed for both sisters. Why not just ask for help? He demanded. Why the deception? Vesa's expression fell. Would your people have come willingly to an uncharted planet based on a distress call from an unknown species? Marcus knew the answer. Earth space agencies were cautious to the point of paranoia about first contact scenarios. There's more, Thalia said, stepping closer. In the aurora's light, her usually stern features softened. The connection forming between us, it's not just cultural or, she hesitated, romantic. The prophecy spoke of a three-point harmony, a resonance between different minds that could rebalance the crystal core. 3 points, Marcus repeated, looking between them. You two and me? Vesa nodded. We've been training you, preparing you. The final ritual requires a complete bond between 3 willing participants. A bond that goes beyond physical or mental connection, Thalia added, her usual confidence faltering. It requires absolute trust, absolute unity. As the auroras peaked overhead, casting the 3 of them in ethereal light, Marcus faced a choice that would alter not just his future, but the fate of an entire world. And as he looked at the sisters, one who had opened her heart freely, one who had gradually lowered her defenses, he realized the choice had already been made somewhere in the depths of his changing heart. Tell me about this ritual, he said finally. Tell me everything. The preparation chamber hummed with energy that made Marcus's skin tingle. 3 days had passed since the sisters' revelation. Days spent in intensive training for what they called the resonance ritual. Now, dressed in ceremonial attire, a form-fitting garment woven with crystal threads, Marcus stood before a reflective surface, barely recognizing himself. Having second thoughts? Thalia asked, entering the chamber. Her usual armor had been replaced with similar ceremonial clothing, making her appear less warrior and more priestess. Just wondering how I went from mapping star systems to participating in alien rituals, Marcus replied with a nervous smile. Thalia approached, adjusting the crystal pendant at his chest. The pendant connects directly to your biorhythms. It will amplify your presence in the shared consciousness. Her fingers lingered at his collar longer than necessary. You could still refuse. We would find another way. The offer surprised him. Would you? After waiting so long for someone like me to arrive? Thalia's silver eyes met his. Forcing compliance is not true resonance, Marcus. The ritual requires genuine connection. The word hung between them, laden with unspoken meaning. And do we have that? Connection? Marcus asked softly. For answer, Thalia leaned forward, pressing her forehead against his, an intimate Etherian gesture he'd learned was reserved for those sharing deep bonds. The telepathic connection between them flared, allowing him to feel her usually guarded emotions. Respect, admiration, and something warmer she still struggled to name. I've fought it, she whispered, believing feelings would compromise my duty to our people. And now I understand they may be essential to it. The moment was interrupted as Vesa entered, carrying a crystal vessel containing the luminous liquid Marcus had come to know as essence, the distilled energy of Lyraxis itself. It's time, she announced, her voice solemn yet tinged with anticipation. The core chamber awaits. The three descended through the crystal city to depths Marcus hadn't yet explored. The passageways narrowed and pulsed with stronger light as they approached the planet's heart. Finally, they emerged into a vast cavern where a massive crystal formation floated suspended in energy currents, spinning slowly. The crystal heart, Vesa explained, source of all life on Lyraxis. Even from a distance, Marcus could see the fractures spreading through its structure, dark veins threatening to shatter its integrity. It's beautiful, he breathed. Even damaged. Like many things worth saving, Thalia observed quietly. Etherian elders awaited them, forming a circle around a triangular platform positioned beneath the heart. The sisters led Marcus to the platform, each taking position at one point of the triangle. The eldest stepped forward. The triad is gathered. The vessel from beyond stars, the guardian of tradition, the seeker of change. 3 points to stabilize what fragments. Vesa reached for Marcus's hand on her side, while Thalia took his other hand, then clasped her sisters to complete the circuit. The platform beneath them began to glow. Now we drink from one cup, think as one mind, feel as one heart, Vesa instructed. The elder offered the crystal vessel. Each drank in turn, Vesa, then Marcus, finally Thalia. The liquid seemed to ignite Marcus's consciousness, expanding his awareness until he could perceive the thoughts and emotions of both sisters with crystal clarity. Vesa's mind was a tapestry of hope and possibility, her affection for Marcus woven throughout like golden threads. Thalia's consciousness was structured like a fortress, but as the essence took effect, her walls dissolved, revealing depths of passion and fear she had never shown. And they, in turn, saw Marcus completely, his grief for the life left behind, his growing attachment to Lyraxis, his confused feelings for both sisters that had evolved from wariness to friendship to something deeper. 3 minds, 3 hearts, 3 truths, the elder intoned. The platform rose toward the fractured heart as energy coursed between the 3 linked bodies. Marcus felt a pulling sensation as the ritual drew something from him. Not physical, but essential. Memories flashed before him. Earth's recovery from its climate crisis, the engineering breakthroughs, the mistakes made and corrected. Knowledge Lyraxis needed. From Thalia came strength and resilience, centuries of protective instinct channeled into the heart. From Vesa flowed adaptability and hope, the capacity to envision a healed world. The crystal heart began to respond, its fractures filling with blended light from their shared consciousness. But as the connection deepened, Marcus noticed a disturbing pattern. The healing seemed to be temporary, the fractures reappearing moments after they sealed. It's not enough, Thalia's voice echoed in their shared mind. The damage is too extensive. We need to go deeper, Vesa urged. How? Marcus asked, feeling the ritual stretching his consciousness to its limits. Both sisters' thoughts converged on a single answer, a level of connection they had not prepared him for, one that would permanently bind the 3 of them. If we do this, Thalia cautioned in their shared thought space, there is no returning to what we were before. Vesa's consciousness pulsed with gentle reassurance, but what we become might be beautiful. As the crystal heart began to destabilize above them, Marcus made his choice. Show me how. In perfect synchrony, the 3 shifted their positions, forming a closer triangle. Their free hands reached upward toward the heart as their minds surrendered the final barriers between them. the cavern flooded with blinding light. Beyond the stars. Marcus awakened on the crystal observatory plateau, the twin suns warming his face. His first conscious thought was that he wasn't alone in his mind. Two distinct presences lingered at the edges of his awareness, familiar and comforting. "We were beginning to worry," Vesa said from beside him. She helped him sit up, her touch sending cascades of shared memory through their connection. "How long was I unconscious?" he asked, voice rough from disuse. 3 days, Thalia answered, approaching with a container of water. "The ritual took more from you than from us. Your physiology wasn't designed for such communion." Marcus drank gratefully, fragments of the ritual replaying in his mind. The blinding light. The moment when 3 distinct consciousnesses had briefly become something singular and transcendent. "Did it work?" he asked. "The crystal heart?" The sisters exchanged glances tinged with complex emotion. "See for yourself," Thalia suggested, helping him stand. From the observatory's vantage point, Marcus could see the entire crystal city and the dramatic changes 3 days had wrought. Where before the crystals had been dulled by the planetary decline, now they pulsed with vibrant energy. The sky, once heavy with storm clouds, had cleared to reveal the violet expanse in all its glory. "It's healing," he whispered in awe. "Yes," Vesa confirmed, "but not as we expected." Through their mental link, she showed him what the elders had discovered. The crystal heart had indeed stabilized, but it had done so by forming a new type of core structure, one that mirrored the triangular connection of their minds. "The resonance between us created a template," Thalia explained. "The heart restructured itself accordingly." "Which means?" Marcus prompted, sensing there was more. "Which means our connection cannot be severed without risking the heart's new stability," Thalia said, uncharacteristic uncertainty in her voice. "We are now essential components of Lyraxis's core energy." The implications washed over Marcus. "I can never return to Earth." "There's something else," Vesa added gently. "The elders believe our connection will continue to evolve. Already some of my thoughts appear as yours. Some of Thalia's reactions mirror your own." "We're becoming something new," Thalia said. "Neither fully human nor fully Etherean." Marcus should have felt trapped, perhaps even horrified by this permanent transformation. Instead, as he stood between the two sisters, connected to them in ways that transcended physical boundaries, he found himself filled with unexpected peace. "I've spent my life exploring the stars," he said finally, "looking for the extraordinary. It seems fitting that when I found it, it wouldn't let me go." Vesa's fingers intertwined with his. "Are you disappointed?" Marcus shook his head. "How can I be? I've been given what few humans ever experience, a purpose that truly matters, a connection that defies understanding." He turned to include Thalia in his gaze, "and people worth staying for." Thalia, still learning to navigate the emotional openness their bond demanded, stepped closer. "The ritual revealed more than planetary science," she acknowledged. "It showed us that what we each felt in isolation was stronger together. Love," Vesa named it simply, "different for each of us, expressed in our own ways, but ultimately the same force, the 3 stood together overlooking the rejuvenated world they had saved and would continue to sustain through their unprecedented bond." Marcus realized that his crash landing had never been an ending. It had been a beginning. 6 months later, Marcus stood at the communications array he had constructed from salvaged parts of the Artemis. After weeks of calibration, he had finally managed to establish a narrow-band connection to Earth's deep space network. "Message encoded and ready for transmission," he told the sisters who stood watching the culmination of his project. "Are you certain about this?" Thalia asked. Though their bond had softened her considerably, caution remained her nature. "Earth deserves to know what happened to the Artemis," Marcus replied, "and what we discovered here." "But not everything," Vesa added with a knowing smile. Some aspects of their 3-way bond remained too intimate, too sacred for sharing. Marcus nodded in agreement as he initiated the transmission. The message contained scientific data about Lyraxis, an abbreviated account of his diplomatic contact with the Etherians, and his decision to remain as an ambassador. It omitted the deeper truth, that Marcus Reed no longer existed as he once had, that he had become part of something greater than himself. As the transmission beamed toward his former home, Marcus turned back to the sisters. Through their mental connection, words became unnecessary. Their shared future on Lyraxis stretched before them like the crystal forests, complex and beautiful in its intertwining paths. The human who had once mapped stars had finally found his place among them, not as an observer, but as an essential part of a world he had never expected to call home, bound to two beings whose differences complemented his own in perfect, sustaining resonance. Together they walked back toward the Crystal City, three bodies moving in unconscious harmony, three minds sharing a single profound truth. Sometimes, the greatest freedom comes from the bonds we choose.